I've been using the Siri AI developer beta, and most iPhone users who have experienced Siri don't realize how much better it's going to be. Siri AI is still not the smartest AI assistant out there, and I'm not even going to pretend it is. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are all smarter. But there's one thing Siri AI can do that those others can't, and it has nothing to do with being the smartest. It's not about answering questions. It's about actually doing things across your entire phone, your Mac, or your iPad, and doing those things in apps you really use, and pretty much all the apps that are in the OS. Plus, it handles your personal data in a way that other chatbots using plugins can't even come close to. So stick around to the end. I used Siri AI on a recent photo that was sent to me in a message, and it showed me exactly what this thing's capable of that's good and where it still falls short. So I think it's a good example of both. Now, Siri AI is coming this fall, or you can use it now with the developer or public beta. I want to get this out of the way. I want to be real about this with you guys and not oversell this. Siri has had a rough reputation, and a lot of it has been earned. I mean, it really has not been very good for a long time. If you need a deep answer, research, writing help, or complex reasoning, go with ChatGPT or Claude. That's what I do. Now, with other AI assistants, though, you're limited to how much it can interact with your apps. And they've tried to close that gap through plugins, extensions, connectors. And with these connectors and extensions, you can connect different apps and services, which is nice to be able to do. I do that with Apple Notes and Claude. So when I'm researching a video and putting together stuff, I could then say, ask it to save it over as a new Apple Note. Now, that particular connection is just limited to Apple Notes. And not every app has that option, where Siri AI doesn't need any of that. Notes, reminders, calendars, messages, it's already inside all those. The actual advantage isn't intelligence at all, it's access. Siri AI is baked into the operating system, so it can reach into your real apps on your phone, on your iPad, on your Mac, and be able to do actions within them. So what that looks like in real life is that if you're looking to find something, you say, find my hotel confirmation from last month. It's not going to just send you off to say, like existing Siri, this is what I found on the web, open your phone to continue. No, it's going to check your emails, check your messages, and see where that information is. If you get a recommendation for a restaurant from your significant other, old Siri would have no idea what you're asking for, where this one can look into your message and find that for you. So it's not relying on the web, it's using information you already have within your apps. Here's an example of trying to recall some information from a previous conversation. What was the paint color that Cheryl was telling me about?
Cheryl recently mentioned that she loves Oxford Grey. She suggested using it to paint the cabinets, an accent wall, and in the bathroom. Additionally, she mentioned using either distant gray or white dove for the walls in the kitchen and halls.
Now I can go right to the message she sent that in, or I could see the link she sent and it's going to load right up. Now, if I want to revisit this at another time, I can always go into the Siri app, and then there it is, the gray paint color. If I want to ask some more questions about it, what kind of gray is this?
Oxford Grey by Benjamin Moore is a deep, muted blue-gray with cool undertones. It is often described as a handsome, tailored color that strikes a balance between gray and blue.
Now you see how it went into my messages, grabbed that information for me, gave me the link. I was able to carry on a conversation going deeper into it, and all with a simple request. A big thing with this that you're not going to get from other AIs is screen awareness. So it can look at what you have on your screen and it can give you recommendations. So I had my wife ask me to contact someone and it showed up with a shortcut right to my notes to create a new note or to create a new calendar event. You can open your phone, select Siri, Point it at something and ask what you're looking at. Here's an example opening up the camera app, and I'll just ask, what am I looking at here?
You are looking at an 8.4 fluid ounce can of Red Bull energy drink. This beverage is known for containing caffeine, taurine, B group vitamins, and sugars.
Where did this first come out?
Red Bull was first introduced in Austria in 1987. It was derived from a similar drink called Krating Dang, which originated in Thailand.
When you're using that, and this is where I want to be real about limitations, is it's using Apple's world knowledge. And Apple's knowledge that they've gathered when it goes to the web to find that stuff for you isn't as good as Google's or with Gemini and with these others. So it doesn't answer some of those questions as well. But you can ask for things like, grab those photos that I took on Saturday and send them to my wife. And it knows to send it to her and who you're actually speaking to. Show me the photos of the balloons from this Saturday. Send these photos to Cheryl. Say, here are the photos that I took. And then I can hit the send button to send it. If you're asking for things like information in your messages or your emails or photos or what's on your screen, all of that is handled locally. Now, if you need to go outside of that, and I'll show you in the example photo example in a minute, it'll take just the pieces of information it needs and will send that off to the cloud for additional information. Now, something worth knowing if you don't already about how Siri AI actually works. Siri AI was built on and trained by Google Gemini. So without Gemini's help, Siri AI wouldn't have a lot of these capabilities. But Apple controls how it runs on your devices, and it is not just Gemini with a wrapper on it. You'll have some people that say that. If you want to understand more about how this works, I will share a video at the end of this one, and I'll link it in the description that breaks down how Apple created Siri AI. The privacy side, Siri AI decides what stays on your phone and what leaves it. It's one of the most underrated parts of this whole thing. Because with a lot of chatbots, everything is cloud-based and you're sending information off and you're trusting how it's being used by these different companies. Where Apple built a routing system into Siri AI that tries to handle what it can on device and then sends what it needs to, the bare minimum information to get the results you want, off to the cloud when needed. A real example of this is my wife sent a photo of my daughter on a trip. And I asked Siri AI, who's in this photo and where was it taken? Well, Siri AI looked at the photo and was able to identify it was my daughter because she has been identified within my Photos app. So it was able to reference photos and connect the dots and go, oh, this is your daughter. But then it seemed like it guessed when it came to the cafe that they were in, and it guessed wrong. This is the example I teased in the beginning. The positive thing, it nailed exactly who was in the photo using on-device stuff. But then I don't know where it got the bad cafe information. So I told it it was wrong. I did give it a hint that this was a cafe from the movie Twilight. So then it sent a request to the cloud to find a cafe from Twilight. And then once it identified that, it gave me the location and the name of that cafe. When I asked what actors were in the scene at that cafe, it was able to do a search and bring that information back. That's when it would use Apple's private cloud compute, and I don't think that's heavy enough reasoning to have to go to Google's cloud servers. With that example, it's doing what it can on device and going to the cloud for other stuff. And that showed the limitations too, that had I shared that photo to Google, it probably would have identified where it was taken accurately and been right on that general knowledge side. But it wouldn't have had a clue, or I hope it wouldn't have had a clue, who was actually in that photo. When it comes to general knowledge and identifying things, especially with photos, Siri AI has been off on some of those. It's like, what are you looking at? You clearly have not seen this before. Now, for the privacy side of things, you can go into settings and limit which apps Siri AI has access to. That way, there's certain things you might not want it grabbing information from, and it's good to have that control over it. So it's not looking locally within those apps for information. I guess you have that privacy with other chatbots because they can't get into all that information. Now, these improvements to Siri and the screen awareness and working across apps, for whatever limitations there are now, this stuff is only going to get better. And as developers open up their apps to be able to work with this, it's just going to be more and more functionality. And Siri will be able to grab stuff from those different apps. Where ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, those aren't ever going to get that same OS access unless the EU somehow forces Apple to do that, which I don't want those other companies getting that deep into my phone. I've already bought an iPhone, so in a way I'm already trusting Apple with a lot of information that's rolling through that. I don't want to add another one into the mix. Now, this Siri AI also recently, with the latest beta, rolls over to the Apple Watch. So if you have an Apple Watch Series 9 or newer, it'll actually use your phone to be able to access some of this power of Siri AI in it. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you're able to use this across your iPhone, Mac, iPad, Apple Watch. And when it comes to the Mac or iPad, if you have an M1 or later, this functionality is there for you to be able to take advantage of. And just to clear it up, some folks think that if they don't have the latest iPhone 17 or M5, that they're not going to be able to get Siri AI. That is wrong. What the thing is, you don't get the more powerful on-device that gives you advanced dictation and controls how expressive Siri is. So you don't get to adjust the speed or, whether she's a little more factual or a little more verbose. Yeah, but all the other working across apps and all that, if your phone supports Apple Intelligence, you're going to be able to take advantage of these things. Now, the area where Siri AI still falls short, and you're going to want Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude, is when you want to actually get into more complex stuff. When you want better reasoning or real world information. Like I go to Gemini and use that a lot, especially for tech support. So there's so much value in the other ones. It's just Apple to me has that advantage that it's not the smartest, but it's a hard worker that does things the others won't. So that's, I think it's a great addition. I'm excited that it's finally gotten to this point. So this fall, you'll be able to take advantage of this if you have an iPhone 15 Pro or newer, or for the base level iPhone, you'll need an iPhone 16 or newer. And then you're going to need an M1 chip or higher for Macs and the iPads too. I think it's great that we're actually going to see a Siri that's useful. And I think it's folks are going to need some time to realize it's not the same piece of crap it was before. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Check out future videos. I'll be covering all this stuff. Next, take a look at this video. This is how Siri AI works. It's not just Gemini with the wrapper slapped on it. That's what some folks will say. I've seen it in the comments a lot. They clearly don't want to believe Apple actually is running their own model. So check that out. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.